Alright, what is going on, guys? It's Tazz here, and welcome back to the channel. Now today we've got for you guys is another Flash video. And before I get into anything, spoiler warning if you guys are not caught up with The Flash this season, but if you are, let's continue. Now in the most recent episode of The Flash, we finally got some backstory on Clifford DeVoe, aka The Thinker, and we actually learned how he ended up getting his metahuman powers. And the way he got his powers was from a way that we all sort of expected him to get his powers, and that was from the particle accelerator explosion. But the particle accelerator explosion, in conjunction with the thinking cap created by the mechanic, allowed Clifford DeVoe to become the fastest mind alive. But DeVoe's powers did come at a price. He has an accelerated version of ALS, which basically means his body is going to be deteriorating at a much faster rate. And because of this, the mechanic actually created some sort of levitating floating chair, which has been been called the Mobius chair, which it definitely is not the Mobius chair, but we'll just give it that name just sort of to have something to reference it as. So we're gonna just say the mechanic made the Mobius chair for the Thinker to sort of keep him alive in this sort of state that he's in, so that the ALS does not kill him as quickly as it normally would. But it seems like the Thinker may only have until the end of the season to live, and that's sort of what my theory is about. I think that the Thinker might actually die this season. And the reason I bring this up is because at the end of the episode, we learn from the mechanic that this chair won't keep the Thinker alive for much longer, so that makes me think that something very comic booky might actually end up happening to the Thinker as we progress further down the line in this season. Now, my theory is that sometime in the back half of the season, the Mobius chair, or whatever you guys want to call it, will sort of stop working, and it will cause the Thinker to, end up dying. But before he fully dies, I think the mechanic is going to do something that relates to a comic book, not really to a comic book, but a comic book run that happened when the Thinker actually died in the comics as well. So I think what the mechanic is going to do is end up transferring his consciousness, his superpowered consciousness, into some sort of holographic artificial intelligence. And the reason I bring this up is because in the comics, once the Thinker died, eventually Mr. Terrific actually sort of not really brought the Thinker back to life, but made some sort of holographic artificial intelligence based off of the Thinker's mind, based off of his consciousness. But eventually that sort of turned evil and turned against the Justice League and everything, so that most likely won't happen on the show, but I feel like they will sort of take bits and pieces of this into the Flash TV show and sort of make it into the TV storyline. And the way that I feel that they could do this is, I kind of touched on this a little bit earlier, is I feel like what could happen is, like I said, maybe in sort of the back half of the season, close to the finale, but not too close, so they can sort of drag the story on a little bit, is I feel like the Thinker will end up dying, or not really dying, but coming really close to dying, and the Mobius chair won't be working or anything. And what could happen is, in order to preserve his mind, the mechanic will end up creating some sort of artificial intelligence based off of the Thinker, or sort of maybe even transfer his mind into some sort of artificial intelligence to sort of keep the Thinker alive, but without a physical body. But another way that they could do this is a way that I've seen a lot of people talking about recently. A theory that a lot of people have been sort of bringing up is something that the Thinker might want from the Flash, is that he may want to maybe take over the Flash's body and sort of transfer his consciousness into the Flash, because the Flash, he's the fastest man alive, and the fastest man alive must be able to sort of contain the fastest mind alive. That's sort of the way that people are thinking, that the Thinker obviously can't sort of handle that fast of processing mind in his own normal human body, but Barry, being the Flash, having the Speed Force in him, could be a way for the Thinker to sustain that type of mind that he has. And sort of one last thing to add here is that maybe once the Thinker's mind has been sort of transferred into an artificial intelligence, if that's the way that they go, is maybe the mechanic could create some sort of Samuroid android type of thing for the Thinker. So the Thinker would be kind of like an android Samuroid thingy with this sort of artificial intelligence, artificial mind, but it's still his mind, he just doesn't have a physical body. But technically both of these theories could actually happen if the writers wanted it to. The Thinker could end up dying, could end up having his body transferred, or having his mind transferred into some sort of artificial intelligence, being transferred into an android Samuroid thingy, but still wanting the Flash's body to sort sort of contain his mind to actually have some sort of physical body to, you know, contain that fast mind of his. But other than that, guys, those are just a couple of theories that I have for sort of where the Thinker might go later on in this season, sort of my theory on if the Thinker will die, and if he does die, what would happen to him later on down the line in this season. I want to know your thoughts on this down in the comments below. Where do you think the Thinker is sort of going? Where do you think his plan is headed later on down the line in this season? I want to know your thoughts down in the comments below. But until next time, guys, it's been Tazz, and I'll see you guys in the next video.